Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's topic of how to include iBuying in a full-service brokerage model. This is the RISMedia broker webinar series, and we are thrilled to have you here today to not only talk about the iBuyer, we're going to go beyond that and look at a modern bridge and look at some of the other services that we can offer and talk about in this concept today. So I'm Paul Sessom. I appreciate the opportunity to have today to be with you and to be with the panelists here today. I am a workman success coach and consultant. I'm based in the Los Angeles area, and I've been in the real estate industry for a bit over 16 years, both in sales and leadership. I'm currently in sales and coaching. And if you want to know what I do each and every day, it's pretty much what you do. I look for ways to bring value to my consumer and bring value to my agent base and be able to help them grow and be successful or to obtain their goals. So we're very fortunate today to be sponsored by Zavvy. Now, Zavvy is a complete brokerage selling solutions platform. And Zavvy connects the brokerages and agents with the clients, with buyer solutions, bridge solutions, and other industrial buyers. So today's consumers want options. We all know that. It's a switching market. We need to do things much differently than we've been doing them before, using technology and learning how to bring value in a different way. And Zavvy empowers brokers and the agents to bring all options and solutions to the table for their clients. So before we get started, though, I want to jump over and just take a quick moment to say if you have any questions, to jot them down in the question bar. And we'll be screening those to see if we can answer them or do what we can to answer them throughout the conversation today. And if you have any difficulties, if you can't hear, which you wouldn't hear me say this, if you can't hear or if something's not working and it's a little cloudy, is that you can type that in there as well, and RISMedia will be helping you with that. So also, please stay on to the end of the slides and we will take you there. Well, there will be some free giveaways to help you grow your business, track your business to be more successful. So look for those coming up in just a moment. So before we get going here real quick, let's play a game. We'll type in the question bar where you're at and where you're from. So why don't we get that rolling now? I want to see who's out there, where you're from, and what part of the country that you're in. We've got New Jersey here. That's Elena Shum from New Jersey. So she's out there. So we can get some more rolling in. And if not, we're just going to get going and get started. So Ronnie from New Jersey is also there. So we know two people know how to use their question bar. Robert, thank you for jumping in from New York. So you're all here to learn and grow and to hopefully get something from this conversation that we're having today. So everything looks good here. So we're just going to move over and we're going to meet the CEO. And I guess I need to advance my slides here, don't I? We need to meet the CEO of Zavvy. Now, excuse me, I'm having a technical difficulty, which is exactly what I didn't want to have. Here we go. And there we go there. So Lane Hornig. And Lane was recently named a RISMedia trailblazer. He is based in Boulder, Colorado. He's the founder and CEO of Zavvy, along with his 8Z real estate brokerage with about 15 offices in the state of Colorado. Lane has a passion in helping consumers and professionals navigate new selling solutions, including instant offers from iBuyers and buy before you sell offers from bridge providers. So Lane, welcome and thank you for sponsoring the webinar today and giving us a look into the modern solutions brokers and agents should know about and how to use. And I'd like to turn this over to you for a few minutes and share with you perhaps the message that you would like for us to take away today from today's seminar. So take it away, Lane, and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Paul. Very psyched to be here. You know, I think it's a fun time to be in the industry. We are all creating the modern brokerage, and I think we're going to advance that today. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what that means, the modern brokerage. Here's what's happening in our industry. There's a lot of innovation happening. There's a lot of quote unquote disruption happening. There's a lot of capital flowing into the industry. There's a lot of potential new solutions, and they're being focused on the sell side. The buy side was really the innovation over the last 20 years. The listings went online, buyers could search, but now we're finally at the heart of real estate, and that's the listing side, the sell side. And so there's a lot of new players. There's a lot of new options for the consumer. And I think everybody's got to keep that in mind a little bit. The reason for all the capital and the innovation and the change in our industry is because the modern consumer, not just in our industry, in every industry, they want options and they want simplicity. And frankly, they want one button. They want one button to do it all. My daughter's, 19. I saw a bill on my credit card bill. She used DoorDash to order Taco Bell the other day. That gives you an idea of the simplicity that the new generation, the new consumers want. And our industry is anything but simple. In fact, all these new solutions are making it even more complex. We've got the iBuyers, the big three, Zillow Offer, OfferPad, Open Door, they'll buy houses. We've got bridge solution providers, modern bridge. It's becoming even more complex for the consumer. And so they need our help. They need our help as agents, as professionals. I'm a tech guy, but I'm also a realtor and a broker owner and been practicing a long time. So our job is to, give our consumers some clarity, give them some choice, and be their advisor like we always have been. So what we do at Zavvy is we rationalize, simplify this a little bit, and make it easier not only for consumers, we make it easier for agents. Paul, if you can grab the next slide for me. Thank you. We call them verified buyers. There's lots of people who will buy homes, not just the big three iBuyers. And so what agents have, though, is over there on the left side of the screen, they've got the relationships with homeowners. They've got spheres that they've been building over decades. They've got clients who've done 2, 3, 4 transactions with them. They've got the trust of those consumers. It's our job to step up to the plate and help in this new environment. And what Zavvy does is we just empower what we call the modern agent. And the modern agent brings all these solutions, selling solutions, to the table for their client. And those include iBuying, instant offers. They include buy before you sell bridge, which I think we're going to talk a lot about today. There's investor buyers. There's SFR, single family rental buyers. There's renovation buyers who will buy homes that need a lot of work. The reality, though, is most people still want to use the good old open market, but they want the choice. So if we bring them the choice, we'll stay at the center. So it's all about keeping the agent at the center as that trusted advisor. And whether you use Zavvy or kind of do it your own way as an agent or a brokerage, I don't care. I'm here to help you, educate you, and give you the tools to move forward, whether that's with Zavvy or a piece of paper. So we'll talk about that today. And if you hit the next slide, Paul. Thanks. So what we do is we allow a brokerage and agent, we make it easy to bring all these solutions to the table, to get all these offers. Last time I checked, that's what listing agents do. They bring offers to the table. There's this new flavor of offers, some different varieties now. And here's an example of what we call a confirmed offer report. This is what an agent would present to their client. Here's what it looks like if we go the open market. Here's what it looks like if we go with, say, ZO. Here's what it looks like if we go with a bridge solution, in this case, Easy Knock. And so it just lays it all out. And again, agent stays at the center. Agent Switzerland. One thing that I want to emphasize is agent gets paid and represents the client no matter which option they choose. Because the consumer still wants us. They still want the realtor to hold their hand. So we can either accept that or we can ignore it. But we believe you should accept it and not become an iBuyer. The title of this webinar is how to include it, not necessarily become an iBuyer. It's how to include it, how to make it part of your offering. So that's really, I wanted to set the stage there, Paul. And I'd love, I'm looking forward to Derek and Nikki digging into the details and kicking it around with us.
Well, what I love about this, Zane, is that, it's tools to empower the agent, not to do these things, but to be, you're bringing to the table a platform to enhance what they do and to give them a stronger platform of listing, which is really what we're going to talk most about today, is that listing idea, that listing concept, right? And how to leverage this to get people to move, to open up inventory, to get the market moving in a better way. And it's not being the iBuyer, it's being able to connect the dots, and the tool is amazing for that. So So it's,
yeah, this is exactly, 90% of consumers are still going to go good old open market, especially in these tight inventory markets. But here's how you might attract some new consumers. Here's some of our partners, and here's how they're marketing, including, Derek with JPAR, you can talk. They have a great video that is about covering all your bases: open market, bridge, instant, and this is just a few examples of how our partners are going out and not just taking care of their existing clients, but attracting new ones.
That's awesome. So, well, let's get to and meet the panelists that we have here today. They're hanging out in the shadows a little bit. And Nikki Copa on your screen here is the Managing Broker of Century 21 Award, serving the La Jolla area, Del Mar, Encinitas, and her native San Diego for over the past 2 years, or 2 decades. Sorry about that. She currently oversees all production and operations of the office. Your experience is far greater than 2 years, Nikki. So for sure, she oversees all the production and the operations. She has been a director for the California Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors, as well as other prestigious positions in the industry. Nikki, welcome. It's good to have you here on the call today. Also, we have with us Derek Taylor from Fort Worth, Texas, where he started the Derek Taylor Realty Group in 2008. He sells all kinds of real estate. You name it, he's pretty much got a system for it. Real estate for luxury commercial investments. He is currently the Vice President of Product Technology at JPAR Real Estate, which is about 3,500 agents over 20 states. So that's a pretty big operation. His gift is translating technology platforms, like we've been just hearing about, into terms that real estate agents can understand and implement into their businesses. He is fluent in the German language, so it's good to have you here too, Derek. So before we get started, can you just maybe each of you spend about 30 seconds or so talking about your market and what's going on where you're at? And Nikki, if you don't mind, why don't you pick up that banner?
Absolutely. I am located in San Diego County, but we service Orange County, San Bernardino County, and Riverside County as well. So looking across the board, those 4 counties in SoCal, it has been crazy. Very limited inventory, not unusual to have 50 offers within 2 days. So it's a great market to be in, but it's a really rough market to be in if you're a buyer. So solutions are important to us.
Right, so it's trying to find a way to free up some inventory to give everybody a way to move, right, and loosen that up. It's being a buyer today for sure, right? So only one person's going to get the house, only one. And out of those 50, there's 49 other people still in the market to make something happen, and that just creates an amazing opportunity. Derek, what is it like in the Fort Worth area?
It's bananas. It's just like Nikki. I can't tell you how hot it is. I talked to an agent just the other day, 93 offers in less than 24 hours, 93. I mean, I just want to go put Thor's hammer in the front yard, and whoever can pick it up is worthy and they can move in, right? I don't know what else do you do at this point? It's crazy. So.
It is crazy. We're talking, I had a client just to add to this sort of concept of how crazy it is out there. The property listed at 1.15 million for a really lovely property, pretty much move-in ready in the Pasadena area. The initial offer the client made was $1,325,000, and there were multiple counter offers even at that price, nearly $200,000 over list. The counterback was 1,410, and the offer still did not win that top bid. So what the offer lost to is close, but what it lost to was all contingencies removed in that offer. So buyers are making some really bold, if you've got some deep pockets out there, a buyer can make some really bold statements and moves, right? But on traditional models, it's just crazy. But that particular issue was nearly $300,000 above the list price, close to 30% of the initial starting price. It's really amazing at what's happening out there. And today we're going to talk about solutions to that, right? So let's get started with what we're talking about. Let's just do an overview of what an iBuyer is. And let's talk about that. And what are the strengths and weaknesses? We're not going to spend a lot of time in this area, but I'd just like to hear feedback of what is an iBuyer so that we're all on the same page, and how does it support and help a brokerage and or an agent? Derek, why don't you start with that?
Sure. I mean, in my opinion, an iBuyer is a tech-enabled cash buyer. I mean, they're an institutional buyer who can purchase your property quickly with cash. And they have some tech in the background that helps them do certain things quickly, like get to you. They're just another buyer like anybody else. They just are buying on a massive scale, and using their business model is to try and, you know, have a little bit of margin in there and then resell it, make a little bit of money.
And turn it back around. Are you seeing much of that right now with your brokerage, independent brokerage, and with JPAR at large?
You know, I think that iBuying has gained traction. I watched Mike Delpreti talk at Inman. It was really interesting talk, and you know, they're all losing money. They're losing money like crazy, but they're gaining ground. They're picking up more and more transactions. And so that means that the convenience provided by an iBuyer solution is relatively legitimate, and it needs to be talked about. And that's kind of where we're at. I think I strayed from your question, Paul, but
no, that's okay. I like where we're going with. It's an open dialogue today because we really want to explore what these concepts are. And you know, we talked about Nikki the other day on the phone. We were talking about convenience being a key. And Lane, we were in this conversation. Is that sometimes the solution can be presented if a consumer is looking for convenience. Lane, you said it in the opening segment there. It's ease, convenience, and speed. And so when we're looking at the benefits of an iBuyer, I would suggest that it is those three things that you're able to bring to one of your clients. Nikki, would you agree with that concept and how that works? And
Absolutely. And a new component that's in the pandemic is safety. You know, we're hearing a lot about that people don't want people going through their houses. And so the iBuyer concept is very, very sexy to consumers, but they definitely give up something in sale price. So in our markets in Southern California, very few are actually going to go through with a buyer offer, but they still want to see it. So as a full service brokerage, you know, the days are gone. We walk into a listing appointment and say, you don't want to hear from them. They won't give you all the money you were hoping worth. We need to be able to show them those options. And that was a big pull for us in looking at these options for our agents, is to be able to walk into an appointment and say, yes, I can help you across the board however you want to sell. But most of them will choose open sale, open market sale, and that's fine because that's what we do. But you've got to be able to speak to these things, and you've got to be able to show them what it's worth and see if it's right for them.
I totally agree with that concept. Walk in, and as opposed to avoidance, it's coming in with awareness and embracing what's out there. The consumer sees this already. And if we take the position of doing business the same old way as we always have been, and we walk in with our listing presentation and it doesn't address anything to do with the broader world, I believe we're not serving as a full service brokerage. Nikki, you hit it on the head. A full service brokerage to be able to bring solutions to move the real estate, right? That's really the key right there.
Right,
So,
and right for that. You know, we're traditionally, we do things a certain way, but we all learned during this whole pandemic and that we have to adapt. And with that, I think the consumer base also has looked at the fact that, okay, I've made adaptations over the last year. I want to do this a little bit differently, and I want a choice. There's a price with every choice, just like with everything in life. But with that, they do want to see those options. And I think that the future of that good listing agent, they need to understand the options that are out there.
But
Absolutely.
They're going to find them out whether you give them to them or not. You just need to be the one who, you know what I mean? You need to be the trusted individual that gives them every option that's available, so they don't feel like you're hiding something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, trust is the biggest issue, right? Trust is the gorilla in the room. So if you go in proactively, like Derek said, get out in front of it. You know, I think about it as an agent. Think about the buy side. If you said, hey, if you see flags waving out there, new construction builders, just ignore those. Those aren't, you know, don't But we would never do that. We say, hey, here's my business cards. If you see the flags waving and it looks interesting, walk in, tell them you're working with me, and then I'll go back and visit it with you later. And by the way, I'll advise you and fight for you and get the best deal and the best landscaping for you. And, you know, but only about 10% of buyers choose new construction. But that doesn't mean we don't make it part of our quiver, you know.
True. And the other thing about the iBuyer space is we started off with 1 or 2, and now we're up to what, 20, 30 iBuyers in the space. They all have their niche. They're all buying different things. Someone needs to be able to translate an iBuyer offer and help present that just like they present other multiple offers to people, to let them see, all right, this is the merits of this offer. This is the merits of this offer. Hey, and the other thing about, you know, requiring, I mean, I believe 100% that we should be representing our clients in every transaction, especially to an iBuyer, because you know, as much as I love Zillow and Open Doors companies, I don't think I'd want to be up against their attorneys without representation. Like, I'm not an attorney, but I'm saying they have, these people buy and sell thousands of houses a week sometimes. So do you really want to be negotiating against someone who does that without an expert negotiator in your back pocket? That's where I think we earn our money in these situations.
And I love the big scale of it, right? It's moving outside of our little territory, which is what we work, is this area here. And yet an iBuyer is working this bigger concept, right? So they may not be in your neighborhood right now, but they're around you, they're looking, they're checking in. It may not be the right opportunity at this moment, but it's coming. And you said it, Nikki, when you said adapt. And I think through COVID or whatever's been happening, is that experience has pushed us forward. Some of us with resistance, pushing forward, and the adaptation is not, I don't think this is momentary, I think it's permanent. I think what we're doing today is a permanent move, a permanent way of looking at how we do business, and a shift in how we think about it. We're going to talk next on that, but that was a great concept to pull up. We must adapt. It's not the same. And I believe this adaptation, this process is permanent now for us. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree. And that's how we're going to stay central. You know, everybody's for years that, you know, travel agents went away, you know, all of those things that we won't survive. Yes, no, it's on the ground, and knowing our product and our clients, we will have to adapt. You have to know everything that's out there.
Well, there is this concept, and we're going to go on to the next slide after this, is that, you know, we talk about the idea of who we are, right? This is who we are. This is how we do business. And the truth is that when you look back, and you've had a career, we've all had careers here. You look back, I am certainly not the same agent as when I started. Moreover, I'm not even the same person, right? So if we look at our behavioral styles, and we look at who we are, it's we're changing. And to even think of like, oh, that's just the way I am, doesn't make sense anymore. That's just the way I do business, doesn't make any sense. We do grow, we do change, our industry changes dramatically. And so we either are with it or we're not. We're either going to be with moving forward, or we're going to be left behind. There's a choice there, and it is simply a choice. So when we're talking about these concepts, how do we, here I'm going backwards again, this thing is freaking me out. So how do we speak to our agents about implementing these concepts and these ideas of utilizing these programs? You guys have launched successfully in your brokerages and are launching. And how do you educate your agents and to think about this? Nikki, we talked a lot about this the other day, the wins and the challenges of getting your agents to think differently a little bit.
It has been challenging, actually. And I think that part of it is here in California, we're still pretty much shut down. We're starting to open back up again, but agents are waiting for normal. And so nobody wants to make a whole lot of changes until they see normal. And I don't know that normal's coming back, but we haven't necessarily all accepted that. So in doing so, it's been very, very difficult to get people to take the plunge and really learn. And I found that I really had to break it down into more of really addressing the who and the why. You know, who does this work for? Why do you need to know about these things? Value is a very big thing in our brokerage, being able to bring value to the table. And when you sit down with the seller, they want to hire you because of the value you bring to the table. Well, part of that is knowing what's out there. And so getting that understanding that these aren't just shiny little new objects that disappear in 6 months. This is life, and we need to understand what's out there, what the consumer sees, be able to offer it, and be able to serve them in the manner they need to be served. And I think that's an important aspect. So it's been challenging in getting them to understand that change is important. We do have, you know, an older demographic that doesn't necessarily want to look at the shiny new object. And so breaking it down has been a bit of a challenge, but we're making progress. And definitely the sellers that have that pitched this to so far, they have been thrilled with the process. And the fact that they had a choice, didn't have to suffer through a contingent transaction. They actually had a choice to make it on their terms. And that was huge.
So getting them to understand the value that they're bringing actually to the consumer, the pain in their own growth as an agent is can be a big mountain to climb for many agents. It's like that, they go through the pain of learning. Yet what you're just saying is that they take the time, almost slow down a little bit to adopt what this is all about, so that they can actually speed up and be better, show up better, have a presentation that speaks to opportunity, right? And variety of solutions. So yeah, so it's just getting them there. Derek, what about you? You rolled this out to 3,500 agents, I would imagine. And what is that? How do you talk to them about this, and how do you keep this process going with them?
It's pretty easy for us when we talk about implementing new technology or changes that we bring in. We have a very small measuring stick that we measure things by, and that's kind of our culture: productivity and service. If we're going to give you something to use, it's going to make you more productive and allow you to provide a higher level of service. This is the Zavvy platform. The ability for us to use that for our agents allows our agents to be more productive and to provide that higher level of service. It's a no-brainer for us. So teaching it is part of our culture. It's part of our DNA. When you're giving your agents the option of serving their clients at meeting needs that they never were able to get met before, they never knew that they could buy before they had to sell. They never knew they didn't have to have COVID people traipsing through their house and putting their family in danger. They didn't know that they didn't have to wait and just hopefully an offer came. They could take an iBuyer offer if they wanted to and still get representation. Like, these are the things that our agents are really getting excited about. And that makes them more productive, which also makes them more excited. And so for us, it wasn't a hard implementation. It was a bit of a mindset change when we say, but I don't want them to go to Zillow. I want them to use me as an agent. Well, the thing is, like, we had to assure them, no matter what happens, using the system, unless you represent them, we're not submitting this to Zillow. They're not going to get an offer from you through Zillow until you have a listing agreement in place. And once they got that, then they're like, okay, what do I charge for that? And I said, you charge what your client feels is the value of your services. And at that point, we've had great results. We've had agents who said that they're willing to pay more than they thought they would. I'm not going to throw any numbers out there, but more than they thought they would, just to be able to walk them through an iBuyer process, because they were worried about it. They were scared about going through and dealing with a company that they didn't trust, and they wanted the agent that they did trust through the process. So, you know, we use the Offer Optimizer as a discussion tool for agents to be able to have these discussions with their agents. And from there, the action of actually being able to go out and get all of the information through the SureSale teams, what we call the Zavvy platform, to allow them to use that and get the work done for them. It provides them additional leverage. So, you know, there's all these positives that we show them, and they get really excited about it once they see what it can do for them. And honestly, I mean, my team, we just started talking about some of this recently as we started to talk more and more with our clientele. And we've got 6 new listings coming up just on conversations based around the different options that you have to sell. It's not reaching out to someone and saying, hey, it's Derek, you ready to sell yet? You know, that's the only conversation. Or do you want to know how much your house is worth? Now it's, what's your plans in your house in the near future? And now you can see, tell me more, a little more about that. I want to move, tell me more. I want to move, but I'm afraid of this. Okay, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of not being able to find a place to land. What if I told you I had a solution for you? All of a sudden, that conversation went from a guy who never thought they were going to move to possibly being able to find their dream home and move into it, or maybe even being able to build their dream home and not have to worry about having their home sold before they build it. You know what I mean? And giving the builder some understanding that you can take this as a contingent offer because, you know, we've got you covered with cash offers in the background. So many things that we can do with it.
Is that, when you were talking about that report, is that the report, Lane, that you pulled up in your slides earlier, the confirmed offer report, when you're sharing that with your clients? Is that the report you're talking about, Derek?
No, so the offer optimizers, basically it's a screen where you plug in the estimated price of the home, the approximate condition, and the address, and then it's going to give you estimated nets on all 3 different options, going through a traditional sale, going through a bridge option, and then going through the iBuyer option. And then the other great part about that we love about this is we're in 20 different states across the country. Zabby knows what iBuyers are buying where that house is. So we're able to push this out at an enterprise level without having to worry if, you know, that we're going to be trying to get offers that don't exist. And Zabby's already helped us do all the heavy lifting to get us there.
Okay, got it. So that's the tool that they have access to, that they're able to pull this information and print it out or deliver it out to the client, potential client.
Yeah, it's a tool for us to basically turn our computer around and show them, here's your net here, here's your net here, here's your net here. You tell me which way you want to go, and I'm charging full ahead in that direction. And it's super easy conversation to have. And then they say, what do you mean I can buy before I sell? Well, let me tell you a little bit about that.
So it's an opener anyways, right? It's an opener to the whole concept. You know, here's what we're after. Let's open and talk about some ideas that are available to you. Let's think about a little bit. You know, we're bringing up and skirting the idea of the modern bridge. And it's, you know, it's one of the big pieces that we have here that we want to open the ideas around because it's a little complicated maybe. And I don't know if agents or brokerages really understand this concept. So why don't we jump into how does this work? What is it? And how does it work for your agents to even be more successful of bridging this gap between having to sell or needing to buy, whatever the question may be? Is it, how do we use this tool? Lane, you want to step into that or
yeah, I'd love to step into it because I'm a huge fan of the modern bridge. I mean, this is now when I get all excited because I think the modern bridge is the solution for the time. 2021 is going to be the year of the bridge, and here's why. Everybody on this call, I could say, is your inventory less than 3 months? And I would get about 98% responses, yes. And the other thing that's happening is the average homeownership tenure is now 12 years. In Nikki's market, it's actually 19 in California. So think about that. 19 compared to what we used to think of as 6 or 7. That means there's a third of the transactions happening that would normally, or quote unquote, normally back when it was 6-7 year tenure. So why is that? Well, because homeowners think they're stuck. They don't know, they're scared of moving because they hear about all the multiple offer situations, the limited inventory. They don't want to end up homeless. We call that the chicken and egg problem. And the modern bridge solves the chicken and egg problem. And by solving that problem, we can free up some inventory, create some new listings, and that's good for the whole ecosystem. So a couple things, Paul, real quick, what the modern bridge isn't. It is not a bridge loan. You know, I've been in the business long enough to lose all my hair, and it is not a bridge loan. Bridge loans are expensive, cumbersome, and usually by the time you qualify for them, you have the assets and the cash just to buy it anyway. So you skip it. The modern bridge is actually a verified buyer, a solution provider coming in and either buying the home that the client is currently living in or buying the home they're going to. I call the home they're in house number 1, the home they're going to house number 2. Depending on the provider, they can buy either one of those, and they're both good solutions, but it frees up the homeowner to get over on the buy side.
Okay, so great concept. Now, Nikki and Derek, you both have implemented this in your brokerages, right? And teaching this platform. And I'm sure you get some coaching from Zabby of how to get through this, but it's helping them get there. So how does this help? How do they understand it, and how does it working with the agents, Nikki? How does that help them become more successful?
Actually, the funniest part is when I first launched this out, I'm like, stop completing the sentence, because as soon as they're bridge, they go loan and it's super expensive and da-da-da. Stop, just listen. And it is different. There are solutions, and taking it into the bridge solution was a huge, I mean, it just helped them get a day mindset. I think that right now, one of the big things that we come up against is agents are definitely looking for, where's the pothole? Where's the bad thing in this, you know? And understanding that there's a cost to something. That's not a drawback. That's life. There's cost involved, but the convenience aspect is huge, especially in our market right now with the concerns about the pandemic and all of that. This is very, very important to be able to give that convenience and a little bit of control back to people. In California, we really don't feel like we have a whole lot of control in the past 10 months. So that being said, if I could actually decide when I want to move, what I want to move over there, what I want to do at a garage sale, you know, all of those things, that's a huge dynamic for people to feel like they have a little bit of control. And that's what has been the key in actually teaching this, is understanding that it's more of a control tool for those people to be able to actually write their own destinies instead of just bob along in the water and hope that somebody accepts their contingent offer and that everybody closes on time.
Or that no one accepts that contingent offer, which is the today's time, right?
Yeah.
You know, the key on this too is it comes back to convenience. Not all sellers, not all buyers are the same in the sense of what is the motivation to cause whatever it is that's happening with their lives to either sell or to purchase or to do both. And you know, I can imagine that for somebody who needed to sell here, perhaps buy something out of state could be quite a challenge. In many ways, a lot of move going on, and this could be an ideal scenario for that concept. You know, go find what you want. We'll figure out how to help you buy that. Then we'll get your house listed so that you can move and have your place to move into and get this sold pretty quickly. That convenience alone, I mean, could you imagine the headache of having to move across country, find a place to live, even across town as far as that goes, is that you just have to disrupt everything in your life. And sometimes you just want it easy. I don't want to be anxious about, am I going to be able to sell this thing to be able to buy that thing? You know, I'm going to go through this process of getting ready to own it and fall in love with this house and not be certain. And so the price points aren't that much. I mean, there is a cost to it. But when you're thinking about overall convenience and the overall cost of a property, it sounds somewhat just a choice. It's
Right.
not
well,
just a choice.
And I know for us in our market, the most expensive average price point, we're around 10 to 20,000. Okay, well, if I have to write a contingent offer, then I don't have to be quite as competitive on that. So it's very easy for me to win the offer writing process without having to offer as much. Making up 10 to 20,000 in our market is really pretty easy. And the concept that when I sell their house, they won't be living in it. We can clean it up and do whatever we want. Getting money back on the back end, given the right circumstances, is pretty easy. So yeah, there's a cost involved, but in the way it works, what we've seen so far is that our sellers have come out making more money than actually having them cost it money. But we can't guarantee that, but again, it's the dynamics and how you talk about it and how you're able to roll out there.
Well, the market today, at least in our area, really dictates this in many ways. The risk becomes even smaller in terms of this aspect, and high price or high volume sales price markets, the gap does close dramatically, especially if you're moving to something, if you're moving from California to Arizona, you know, that's kind of gold in a way, right? Because the price points are just so far different, and you can get a equal to or greater than property and use these tools, and it really not cost you hardly anything, right, at the end of the day, right? So it's just a good way to think about the way that you're thinking. So you're getting your agents involved because you're showing them solutions, not only in here's the tool, make a choice, but how to think about how to use this tool and look at the outcomes on both ends of it.
The other cool part of this through the Zavvy platform is if there's multiple bridge loan products or bridge products in your area, you're able to know which ones they are, and then you can compare and see which one's the best fit, right? Working with your client, which one fits them the best. There are instances like Lane said, where they buy the house you're in, and then you're a cash buyer almost practically on the house that you're moving into, or they buy the house you're going to, and there's no contingency on it. And so each market's a little bit different. Sometimes it's better to go in with a ton of cash than it is to go in with no contingency. So we get to kind of use those tools to weigh strategies and make the right offers, and gives those other options and benefits, and really makes us, like, as real estate agents, look smart again, right? There's so long when everyone thought that we're just, you know, there to collect a check, and now with all of this, the more and more that we're learning about it, they're like, oh wait, you guys really do know what you're talking about, right? It changes the attitude of public perception, continues to enforce the fact that we're experts at what we do, and we're having conversations about different ways to accomplish that seller's goal without that they had never even heard of before. And
Not to I just love your concept of how you think about this, because you're looking at a 20-state arena, right? So you're looking at so many different markets and rolling this out and how to implement that tool for you, the entire brokerage. And that's pretty amazing bird's eye view of looking at like what's happening in these different markets in these different locations, and how do we use this tool. And if I'm going to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, you're finding success in all the different varieties of markets all over the states with these tools.
Absolutely, yeah. They're just tools, other additional tools to put in your toolbox. But
so it overcomes the idea of not in my market, right?
Yeah, I think, Paul, like we hear that a lot at Zavvy. Oh, that doesn't apply to me. It's not my market. You know, we have partners in every state except North Dakota. Maybe it doesn't apply to North Dakota, but I think we'll probably have a partner there soon. You know, we have over 50,000 agents on the platform. Every market's different, and I think what Derek said, every client is different, and every solution provider is different. The bridge providers, and there's some great ones out there, Knock, Easy Knock, Ribbon, Homeward. They're all a little different, and some of them work better for a client than others, and that's where our expertise comes in. The iBuyers are not all the same. Their offers vary by market, by zip code, by client, by property type. It's a complex little jigsaw puzzle. Guess what that needs? A professional who knows what they're doing to map that and connect the dots. So you know, you've got to, I love what Nikki says, you've got to be able to talk about it at a high level in a very straightforward way, just like real estate. But then when it comes down to deal time, sausage making time, you gotta be smart. You gotta be a deal maker. You gotta understand the nuances and the pluses and minuses and how it fits with what your client's trying to accomplish. So that's why realtors aren't going anywhere. Not the good ones.
Right, and it comes back to, you know, the agent listening more to what the needs are than completing the sentence for the client, not really understanding what the full story is. And when you understand the full story, then you can open up your toolkit and say, well, I've got pliers, I've got a crescent wrench, and I got a hammer. So, you know, let's choose the tool that you would like to work with. So let's go to the next idea of, we have these great tools now. And how do we actually implement this into the brokerage? How did you roll this out to everybody? So you've got
I'll answer that one because, you know, it's really easy. At Zavvy, we have an adoption magic wand. We just hand it over, and it's like, poof, oh wait, I'm also a broker owner, so I know what a load of BS that is. Yeah. Implementation and adoption is hard work. It's heavy lifting. You know, some agents, it's interesting. It's, you know, it's a little bit of both. I was now, you know, I put my broker owner hat on. So now I'm a broker owner. I was walking up the stairs at my brokerage, brand new, you know, newer agents walking down the stairs. I'm like, hey, Cody, how's it going? Hey, Lane, I'm on my way to my first listing appointment. I am, you know, he was all pumped up and everything. And I'm like, great. What are you doing? He's like, well, of course, I'm presenting all the options. Open market, bridge, instant. And I'm like, great. And as he walked on, I realized he will never know anything different. That is what he's always going to know. And then I've got power listing agents who do 30 million plus solo licensees, and they crush it. But it's taken more time for them to understand the mindset shift here. You know, as my mentor, Larry Kendall, said, here's the good news. If you change your mindset, you could walk out of this room a different agent. Here's the bad news. It's really hard to change your mindset.
Yeah. You got to work on that. That's a daily activity to do that. You know, as you were saying this, for years I was in the entertainment industry before I got into real estate. And, you know, one of the most difficult things to do is if you're working on a live show, or if you're working on any sort of show, is you train your performers to do things a certain way. And they do it a certain way night after night after night. They do it 8 days a week. There's 8 different shows a week that go into that. And if you're working on a new show, then the writer may come back in and say, let's take out this last scene and let's replace it and retool it. And the amount of time that it takes for that actor to be able to implement and reconnect it to the character and to practice it and to get it out there takes enormous amount of time. They've already learned something. Now they have to unlearn it to be able to learn something new. And our agents are very much in that same place, successful agents or long-term agents. They've learned it this way. Now we're going to mess with them a little bit to help them be better. They just have to take the time and practice and practice and practice. So the rollout is not a magic wand. This isn't going to solve all your problems. It's not going to get all of your listing appointments. However, I do believe it's going to get people to think about you as an agent in a different way.
But make sure you get Nikki's thoughts on this. Nikki is a adoption wizard, so.
Oh,
Well,
Nikki.
and I think we're getting there. Again, we rolled out Savvy, so I'm going through the learning process with all of our agents and actually implementing everything. But you're right. Option is it's harder for the ones that look. I know I do this. I go into a listing appointment. Here's how I do it. I don't want bumps in the road. I don't want to, you know, not broken in their opinion. And so I have been able to have, but I got a little core group together, and those are the ones that are pitching it. And then I've been doing video interviews, you know, with them. Okay, so how did you do this? How did you talk about this? What kind of questions came up? And it's funny because hearing from me, it's not that they don't believe me. When I have somebody that was in an appointment that actually talks to them about it, then that's been huge. Still all Zoom here because we can't get together in California, but it's been totally a game changer for them to hear another agent say, well, it was awesome because I told them about this. And even when they choose to go the whole contingent painful route, it was their choice, and they tend to be able to accept all the pain that's going to come with it a little bit easier because they did have a choice and they chose to go in a different direction.
Yeah, it's the foreshadowing of what's to come, right? Here's your options. What are you going to choose? This one's hard. This one's not so hard. This one's maybe a softer bed, right? And you work it up, and then the consumer gets to choose. I love it. So that getting the agents to understand that is the goal, right?
Right.
Right. So training them there, rollouts.
Yeah, for us rolling this out, and the way I've come to think about things is how do I take what we're doing here, and how do I help you plug it into your life? And do you even want to? So having conversations is the only way to do that. And so we have to talk about it. We have to demonstrate it. We have to show specifically high performing agents, right? They have systems and practices they've honed over years. And those systems and practices don't change. They're like their verse, they're in the Bible, they'll never be rewritten. According to them, it's really difficult for them to make those changes. So we have to slowly kind of, hey, why don't you just try it? Just try it a couple times, maybe try it a third time. Tell me how it went. And then when we get, positive feedback from people as they're using it. We share that amongst everyone else. Hey, look, Jim did this and it worked for him and he loved it. That's a really good way for us to drive adoption, make sure that it's organic, make sure that people like it and they love it. And then the other part of it is we have to put it into a real life context. And what we're trying really hard, starting next month, we're having a national, what we call National Home Valuation Month. But every training that we're doing for the entire month across the entire JPAR nation is going to be themed on how to get more listings, how to show people the value in getting listings. And this is where a lot of our tech stack that we have, we can plug into it. Hey, how do I use our KB Core system to get more listings? How do I use KB Core to talk about Sure Sale? How do we automate some of this? How do we plug in buy side too? So all of this stuff mixed in together gives one humongous listing machine that we see at my level, and I just have to show everybody else, here's the machine. All you got to do is turn it on and start having conversations with your clients like we're having conversations with you.
I love the idea of having a newer agent. They adopt it from the beginning. This is what they know. It'll be in the context of their business forever, as long as the platforms exist. And then we have the older, and you just balance the two out there. In our last few minutes here coming up, I see this as an amazing, as a brokerage, that this is an opportunity. Just so that we have a context, we're going to talk about this as a recruiting piece, perhaps, and also what the Sure Sell system really looks like. So we've got about 7 minutes that we want to get this in. But as an idea of growth for attracting agents to you, have you been able to see this as how do you offer this out to somebody that you may be interested in bringing to your brokerage or your agency, or have you done that yet? Here's a tool that we provide or offer, and have you used it as a growth tool?
We'll let Derek start with that because he's had it a little bit longer.
It's worked really well with us. We talk about it's technology is always kind of the sexy carrot that you use for a certain generation of agents, and for everybody else it's kind of like, oh God, I have to learn all that. I don't know if I want to do it. So my only job really was to teach this platform to our recruiters so that they could explain it while they're having those interviews. And what they wound up doing was they wound up asking questions, finding pain points in agents' businesses, and then showing them that we have solutions to meet those. And this is one of those solutions that blows everyone's mind when you mean they don't have to be contingent? That, I didn't have to lose 5 deals last month. That's where this conversation makes, and showing solutions really helps in the recruiting side. And I don't even do the recruiting. So I'd love to be in those conversations, but I know they're working because our recruiters call me and say, wow, I just had a great conversation and talked about this. Can you explain this one more thing to me? And I'll do that. And then they go back out and use it as more ammunition.
Well, it speaks to the brokerage model in the sense of, again, staying ahead, being relevant, moving forward, being a modern brokerage, right? You have to have the modern tools available to you. And sometimes a brokerage is not even aware. And it's like, okay, you got to, from a recruiting point of view, it's like that doesn't exist there. It can here, or it does here. So if we're looking for solutions to really help you with your business, these are the things that you can be trained to learn about. Are you open to that concept, right? So I believe this is a great attraction tool, because who doesn't want more business?
Absolutely.
Almost 3, but who doesn't want more business?
Yeah, I mean, agents are looking to hang their license to be part of an organization that has a vision of the future, that is not going to be roadkill, that's going to be out in front of it leading. And Derek and Nikki, they can present that vision. We're a modern brokerage. We're embracing this. We're not running from it. In fact, we think it's a huge opportunity for us.
I love it.
That attracts people.
It's a good tool and a good idea, so something to think about. Now let's jump really quickly into this Sure Sell system. We haven't really touched on this very much, and on this talk today. So this is where there's funds provided to enhance a property to be able to help it sell better, right? That's the understanding of this. So how is this working and I'll just jump into it so that we can get it there. I believe that it's the convenience of this concept. It's the ease of which it can be implemented, which attracts someone who needs to list their home, get it sold, get it up on the market, get it ready. So I see the easy button, which was mentioned earlier, is that it's the easy button in many ways. What's your experience with this, and how do you see it, and how do you pitch that out to your agents as well?
In our market right now, currently, and we just, I mean, all you have to do is put it on the MLS and you have 700 offers. So our biggest thing that we're using it for is when we actually have an issue that make it so you can't get a loan. So if I don't have flooring or a heater or whatever, so we'll use that. It's super fast. It's easy to get that money in, be able to replace that, and be able to get that sale. So that's really all we've used it for so far, just simply because of our market. It doesn't matter if the property needs a lot of work. It actually is just better to sell it right now because of the demand. But there are conditions that make it so that it can't go out, nobody can get a loan on it. If you can't get a loan, then it's going to limit that buyer pool. So we used it in those situations, and it's been like $20,000, and all of a sudden they got, $60,000 more than what an iBuyer would have given them.
Exactly.
Yeah. This market's not going to last forever, and
right.
And what we've run into, and one of the reasons why the market is the way it is because the existing inventory that's not yet listed, a lot of it has gotten really aged. They're older houses now. They need a lot of capital expenditure by either the seller to get it up to market standards, or by the buyer to get it to where they want it to be after they move into it. That capital expenditure is difficult for some sellers unless they either pull it out of their equity, which is also difficult to do sometimes. They just don't have it in their cash, especially after COVID and all the things that are happening now. So we want to provide options to our sellers to get that property, to get that kitchen in the state that it needs to be into, so we can actually get them more for their money. There's neighborhoods in my area that if you put a pool in the backyard, the house will sell for 2 times more than the cost of the pool, just by adding the pool. Yeah. So knowing your market and understanding those little adjustments to properties that are really in high demand can actually lead to getting more money for the property. And if you have to pay for it at closing, or however you're doing it, instead of it coming out of your pocket, out of your capital expenditure, that's where it's a game changer. And that's where agents can shine, showing their expertise, showing you, look, it's not even going to cost you any money, and I can make you more money at the end of
the
it.
upsell on that too is the fact that your house will sell for more. And pretty much we all probably experience this in the market. If you have a ready, I told the story earlier, a ready livable move-in idea is that somebody will pay top dollar, premium dollar, out-of-pocket dollar, not to have to do anything to move into a property. So that seems to be
the spreadsheets, Paul. The spreadsheets go flying out the window. All the rational evaluation, then it just becomes a competition. So we call this, typically concierge. So the modern brokerage offers open market with concierge, bridge, and instant sale, all in one place.
That's a lovely platform. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Lane, thank you for sponsoring this today and giving us the opportunity. Derek and Nikki for contributing, giving us feet on the ground information about how this actually works and helps your brokerages and moreover your agents. We have a couple of downloads here that you can get from RISMedia. It is the lead tracker to help you track the leads, keeping up with your sellers that you're looking at so we don't lose track of them. Sometimes it takes months to get them to the table. 8651 booklet, which is generating 86 transactions, talking to 50 people about an hour a day over a period of a month. That consistent touch will help you get there. It's about a 40-page book that is just full of rich information of how to stay in touch and communicate, so don't forget to get that. And then the listing process sheet here, which is using a traditional model against using some of these modern tools. You want to get that, so just reach out and do that. It won't be just a few moments by the end of the day that this video will be downloaded into RISMedia's, I guess their YouTube page. So take a look at that. Nikki, Derek, thank you much. Lane, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time today, and I hope we meet again. Enjoy.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.